kind of like an abrasive blade, so it's not as dangerous as you think this is gonna look. I promise, I'm being safe. Last night I finalized how my electrical board is going to look. I also ordered some terminal rings for the end of the wires, and I just measured the distance on the electrical board between components so I could get just the right amount of wire. I'm gonna give myself like maybe a couple inches, but I'm hoping I can just order the right amount of wire and be done with it. So I just did that, I just measured it, and essentially this is what the board looks like. These are all my papers that help me determine the ring terminals, what I need, as well as the amount of wire I'll be needing and the type of wire I'll be needing. This by no means is all of the paper that I've used in order to sketch out my wiring diagram. A lot more than that, but these are the two that I'm using right now. Something cool that Lowe's does is that they, here, let me get to the screen. So they actually let you do this online and pick up in the store, but you can order by foot the amount of wire that you need. So I have found out what amount of wire I need, and I'm about to put in my order now. I thought I'd be doing the electrical work this weekend, but you know, getting stuff in is taking a little longer, so that might not happen this weekend. Instead, I might do some paneling and construct the storage on the roof. So, still getting everything in for the electrical work, but I'm understanding it more and I should be ready to go next week. So, yeah, it's a journey for sure. And I think I'm gonna head to Lowe's and look at some of that tongue and groove paneling for the ceiling. And then I determined that I'm gonna just do straight sheets of plywood, painted plywood on the walls, just because it's a lot easier that way. And I've also read up that a lot of professional van builders tend to not put paneling up because it can just shake and torque while it's in the van. So I decided to do that on the ceiling for the looks, but then on the sides I'm gonna decide to do that plywood just for a clean look, but also it's easy and recommended. So I'm gonna do that. Look, who we got here? We got Lily. Today I'm gonna start wiring things, I think. I'm going to try to get things wired today. I have oriented those on the board and have marked where I'm going to connect them. So I mean drilling them. So I have to drill holes and then I'll connect those items. Wiring is kind of nervous. Leah posted on our Instagram last night as I was like looking at all these things. It's just like, it's a lot of work. This whole thing is just a lot of work. This morning I've been procrastinating actually getting it done, so I'm just gonna keep making steps into the right direction and eventually I'll get it done. So I have decided that I'm gonna make this electrical its own video because it is such a big deal. Essentially what I've been doing with this whole YouTube series, I'm gonna do the same thing and just show my experience and encourage you guys to do your own research. So that's what I did. I did a lot of research. Let's get those holes drilled and get the pieces oriented on the board, and then I'll explain what I did there. Let's do it. right, y'all, I attached all of these pieces to this piece of plywood. Nothing is coming off, hopefully. So now I'm ready to wire everything together, which is very nerve-wracking. The reason I put everything like this, so let me get the camera a little closer so you can see. The board is essentially going to sit up like this in the garage part of the van. So we have a charge controller. The solar panel wires are going to come down through here. Positive is going to go through this 20 amp circuit breaker, and then into here. We have an inverter here, a 2000 watt inverter. So then I have the fuse box here with the negative bus bar. And then these two pieces, so these three are the big pieces. In between there we have pieces to protect the items and make it look clean. So the items to make everything look clean and not as many wires coming off the battery are these two bus bar, this positive and negative bus bar. So essentially one wire will be running from here to the battery, so I don't have several wires coming down, coming up into these appliances. I just have one, and then from there, they do their job. So these are just negative and positive bus bars, heavy duty. Then I have two switches here. This switch cuts off all positive power from the battery to all of these things. So I switch, so this is on and this is off. So once I turn that off, that turns off power going from the battery to everything. I had an extra one left over and I decided to keep it and use it to shut off power just to the charge controller, which will help me take care of any problems with the solar panels. I can switch that off and work on the solar panels or work on anything with the charge controller. I also have this fuse, the circuit breaker here, that I can also do that with. So I didn't technically need this, but I had it left over. And then from there, I have circuit breakers and fuses. On the board here, I have 4. So I have 1 circuit breaker, 2, and 3. And then I have 1 A&L fuse right here. So this is a 20 amp circuit breaker, and that will come from the positive solar panel wire to my 20 amp MPPT charge controller. And so I can switch that off again, like I said. And then from there, I have a 20 amp fuse. So I'm a little nervous, just to say this, I'm a little nervous to have this one, but the book did say, but my owner's manual did tell me to use a 20 amp fuse, so that's what I'm gonna use for this. And then I have a 20 amp A&L fuse right here that will be going from the charge controller to the battery, so that will be that fuse. Then I have this 250 amp circuit breaker as well. So the battery wire will come up here, connect to this 250 amp circuit breaker, and then hook on right here to my 2000 watt inverter. And then I have, from there, I have this 30 amp circuit breaker, and that will come from, that will go to the fuse box right here. So from here to here to here. The only thing I need to keep a check on with wiring everything is how the wires overlap over each other. So I'm gonna have to keep an eye on that. But that's essentially what's going on here. And now I'm going to wire everything together and then go over more what everything looks like from there. But yep, that's my board. Let's get wiring. So I'm gonna film my first wire connection. Probably one that's gonna be a little smaller. Here, I will go over this a little later, I think. This is my diagram. This is another diagram. Let's see, what's an easy one I can do first? Is 8 gauge wire that I got from Lowe's. I think I will use first. So the first wire connection I am going to do is battery plus from the charge controller to my 20 A&L fuse here. So the tools I will need are this wire crimper right here. Wire crimper, that's Klein Tools. I have this wire stripper. This is one that my dad had laying around. We'll use that to strip the wire. A wire cutter. And then just a screwdriver. This is the 8 gauge wire I will be using from the Battery Plus here. I also have this 5/16 ring terminal, I guess you could call it a ring terminal, that will hook on right here. It's 5/16 for that specific bolt, and I fit it to the 8-AUG wire, so it should fit in there just nice and easy. So what I'm gonna need to do first is cut the exact length of rope that will fit in here to here. So I'll go ahead and do that. Put these aside for right now. So I'm going to fit this in here, see how long I actually need it. It's gonna go right here. Trying to figure out if I want it to go down here. I think I do. So I'm gonna probably hook it about maybe right here so I can have the battery negative going under that. Or I could just have it go straight here. Or here. No. Goodness gracious. We're gonna have it go out, hook right here, and then do a turn. So let's cut this bad girl. Let's cut this guy. Let's do right here. Okay. Woo! It's a cut. So here is my wire. All right, so that cut the wire a little bit. Oh man. This time I'm doing it more gentle. A little harder maybe. And then I need to figure out how to get this wire off. All right, that's a stripped wire. Go ahead and strip this side so I can put the ring terminal, the tinned copper ring terminal. Okay, so we fit that on there nice and tight. Okay, and so from here I'm going to clamp using my clamper. I actually need my hammer one. All right, here is my wire. It's a little hard, there we go. There's my wire with the 5/16. It's gonna hook right there. Got some electrical tape around it. It's all crimped and happy. So now I'm going to put it right here. This is my first wire. Huh, wow, okay. So I've gotten quite a bit done here, as you can tell, and wiring isn't that hard if you know what you're doing, which I did a lot of research, and this is how I got to this point. I just want to say I'm super proud of myself. Look at that good looking wire. Look at that. That is 0-AUG, 0 gauge with 2 terminals. It has some liquid insulator down there. And it is curved just the way I need it. And hopefully you can see this, but it goes on so nicely. Oh, I'm so happy. So happy. It's beautiful. I love it. I'm gonna finish up a couple more 0 gauge wires tonight and then call it a night. And then tomorrow I think I'll show you guys how to do one of these once I've gotten the hang of it. Like this one looks really good, but I want to get a little more used to it before I show you how I do it. But look at that. That is good looking. Now, I promised you guys I would show you how to do one of these bigger wires here. This is 0 gauge wire. So I am going to make one that goes from this here to this positive bus bar here. And that's gonna be a positive 0 AUG wire. So I'll show you how I do that. So the first thing I'm gonna do is measure out how much wire I need to get to both of these points. So just a rough idea, let's do right here. And then I want to figure out what ring terminals I need. For these 2 pieces of hardware, I need a 3/8, that's just this right here, and the size of the hole, 3/8 with a 0 gauge wire insert. So fit on just like that. And then this one will fit on just like this. There you go. So I don't have the proper tool to cut the 0 gauge wire because they're expensive, but I am going to use reciprocating saw, and this turns out it's not as hard to do it with this. And it's not a sharp blade at all. It's kind of like an abrasive blade. So it's not as dangerous as you think this is gonna look. I promise, I'm being safe. Next thing I need to do is strip this wire. So I have 2 different types of strippers, this guy and this guy. This is for smaller wire. It helps me get off the insulation once it's all cut, but this guy helps me actually cut it. And you just spin the wire. There we go. That's the exposed wire. And then I'm just gonna slip this on, and then I need to clamp this part down. All good and snug. So next is putting insulation over this. This I've kind of cut corners. I used to this is liquid insulation, liquid tape, electrician insulating tape. So I used to just let this dry and sit, but I stopped doing that because it takes too long to fully dry completely. Since this is a positive wire, I'm gonna use red electrician tape. And literally, this might be overkill, but I'm gonna put that over that liquid tape like this. Okay. And it's still wet and it's coming through, but whatever. So that's what one of those ends looks like. Like that. That's with the ring terminal. It's gonna go on like that. Now I just need to do this other end with this ring terminal. So let me do that really quick. All right, here is the completed wire, with both of those ring terminals and the red electrical tape around it. So this end goes here, and this end goes here. All right, and that fits perfectly. So from here, I will screw down the washers and lock washers in these pieces, and then put the cover on here, and that will be it for that wire. That is a 0 gauge wire. Woo! So I don't have any videos of the completed project before I actually installed it in the van. From here, the next video is me actually putting the electrical board into the van. So this is the last picture I have before that next step. So I didn't go over the specifics of the board, like the wire gauges, the ring terminals, the very specific stuff. I will make a video in the future of that, but I am solely going to work on putting those parts in the van and then dedicate a video in the future to that. But this is the finished product. So this video was dedicated solely to making that electrical board. Next video, I will be installing that board into the van and then wiring all of the lights, the fan, the appliances from that board into the van. We'll actually install electrical and actually see it work. So please stay tuned for that video, subscribe so you are able to see that. So stay tuned for part 2 of the electrical work, where I will be installing the electrical board and turning on some lights. Alright, bye y'all, thanks for watching.